Hello everyone, good friend TheMovieCuban here. Um, I just wanted to come on here and make a quick video for you guys, talking about what is currently shaping up to be my favorite build setup for the Necromancer. I've had a chance to fool around with some of the other builds, which I will be making videos on, hopefully in a relatively short amount of time. But for now, I wanted to talk to you guys all about the Inarius set, which is going to be, unless there are significant changes before the Necromancer gets released, this is going to be the Bone Armor set, which has actually, now that they revamped it a little bit, it was really weak in the beginning, but after a few changes, I've noticed that I've actually been able to farm Torment 10 rather reliably. So I wanted to just take a minute to show you guys what I've been doing basically and what might possibly be a potential build, assuming that not too many changes are made. Now the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to take a look here at the Inarius set. As you guys can see, this is a really cool looking set. Like, let me just take off some of these additional things for a minute. Get rid of that. Drop the pet for a minute. Alright. Now, um, I like everything about this transmog, honestly. Um, I have it dyed black right now, but there are just there are just so many things about this armor set that I enjoy that I couldn't even begin to try and explain to you why I think this is great. But let's talk about the actual build itself. So, first of all, by going over here into the armor slot, we're going to be using uh, 5 pieces of Inarius. We're going to manage this by, of course, running a Royal Ring of Grandeur either in the cube or on our personage. Um, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, the set bonuses as of right now for the Inarius set are the 2 set bonus gives it so that bone armor damage is increased by 1,000%. By itself, it's just like 125% damage, so that was a sizable buff. The 4 set makes it so that bone armor grants an additional 2% damage reduction per enemy hit. This is a max of 20% because you can hit up to 10 enemies with bone armor. And then bone armor also activates a swirling tornado of bone, damaging nearby enemies for 750% weapon damage, and increasing the damage they take from the Necromancer by a whopping 2,750%. And that is going to be the bonus that really makes it so that this build works. In addition, I've been fooling around with Grim Scythe, Curse Scythe, and so in order to cater to that, I'm running Tragul's Corroded Fang, which makes it so that the Curse Scythe rune for Grim Scythe has a 100% chance to apply a curse, and you deal between 150 and 200% increased damage to cursed enemies. Lately, though, I've noticed that using the scythe as a generator, um, for some reason, I don't really need to use the scythe all that much. My resources tend not to go down with the way that I play, at least on the current difficulty that I'm doing. So honestly, the weapon and offhand could probably get swapped out. This is just pretty much one-handed scythe that I have for the moment, and that's why I'm dealing with that. So to go with the cursed scythe thing, we've got Ledger's Disdain in our offhand as our phylactery. This makes it so that Grim Scythe deals an additional 9% damage for each point of essence that it restores. It's not phenomenal, I'll admit. In fact, it's kind of underwhelming in regards to the damage that it actually manages to do. But like I said, this is just a test build right now. There's definitely room for improvement. But this is what I've gone with so far, and it has allowed me to run Torment 10 rather efficiently, so I'm not going to complain too much. For the belt, we're using Dainty's Binding, which makes it so that you can gain an additional, I believe it's between 40 and 50% damage reduction when there's an enemy afflicted by Decrepify. So we're going to be running that here in the build. We're using the Johnstone, so that each corpse consumed in the land of the dead grants a stack of macabre knowledge, and macabre knowledge increases the damage of corpse lance and corpse explosion by up to 200%, base 150, max 200% damage while outside of land of the dead. And this item alone makes this build really fun to use, but then we're using it in conjunction with the Grasps of Essence, which makes it so that when an exploded corpse damages at least one enemy, your corpse explosion deals additional damage for 6 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. It rolls between 75 to 100, so as you can see, I'm sitting really pretty with this 98% roll. But what that basically means is if somebody rolls a 100 on this, you could have up to 500% extra damage for 6 seconds just by using Corpse Explosion. So this is going to be basically a Corpse Explosion build with additional elements. We're also going to be running Crispin Sentence, which makes it so that you deal between 75 and 100% increased damage against slowed enemies, or triple this bonus against enemies afflicted by any other type of control impairing effect. So even with the 80% damage bonus, this is really powerful, but I do believe that there are other skills that you can use that would make it even stronger so that you could get the triple bonus. I haven't done too much testing with this ring, so I don't know what all you can do in order to get that maximum bonus, but it does sound nice on paper, doesn't it? And then we're just going to run the convention of elements to milk out a little bit more damage. In terms of legendary gems, I'm choosing Bane of the Trapped since it's just so freaking useful that I can't think of a reason why not to use it. We're using Esoteric Alteration because Necromancer, I've noticed, is kind of squishy no matter how you build him and try and set him up. So those additional resistances are going to be really helpful when you get in a pickle. And then Bane of the Stricken. Honestly, you could probably swap Bane of the Stricken out for... Whoa, I'm chug-a-lugging right there. You could probably swap it out for something like, I don't know, Golgok of Swiftness maybe, Taiguk. I've only chosen it because I'm sure that the higher up you go, and the more health that mobs have, the faster that you can stack additional damage on them, the better off that you'll be. So, that's my choice. And then just run diamonds in everything else for cooldown reduction and whatnot. Because you are going to want a good amount of cooldown in order to be able to have a good amount of uptime on your bone armor, so that you can basically just keep activating that and all. And because I'm basically using this build just to farm Torment 10, we're using Nemesis Bracers. So, in terms of skills themselves, we're using Grim Scythe, Curse Scythe, as I mentioned. So, enemies have a 100% chance to be afflicted with one of your curses, thanks to the scythe that we're using. We're using Death Nova Blight, so that it leaves a patch of blight on the ground, slowing enemies and causing them to deal less damage. Plus, it's a decent damage dealing skill by itself, but it's not super important. This is basically just the skill we're going to be using to kill things in order to get corpses on the ground so that our corpse explosion can do its thing. I'm running Bone Armor Dislocation, so you rip bones from nearby enemies, dealing 125% weapon damage as physical, and create armor that reduces damage taken by 3% per enemy hit up to a maximum of 10 enemies, and it lasts for 60 seconds. And it makes it so that enemies hit are also stunned for 2 seconds. And this stun is what activates the triple effect of Crispin's sentence. So you can do massive damage on those enemies for that 2 seconds. We're using Corpse Explosion, Close Quarters, which makes it so that you explode up to 5 corpses close to you, dealing 525% weapon damage as poison to enemies within 20 yards. Honestly, you could probably use Dead Cold to freeze things to get that same, to get an additional thing that'll proc our ring, but I just prefer Close Quarters because of the additional damage that it does. We're using Land of the Dead Invigoration. This is the rune that makes it so your skills don't cost essence while Land of the Dead's active. Honestly, you could probably get away with using like Plague Lands or Land of Plenty maybe if you feel that you're struggling to stay alive. But like I said, I'm only running Torment 10, and being able to spam Death Nova while Land of the Dead is active for 10 seconds is pretty nice. And then of course we're using Decrepify so that we can proc our belt and all. And this just reduces enemy damage. Originally it reduces enemy movement speed and reduces damage, but with the Wither rune here, it increases the damage reduction, but gets rid of the movement speed decreasing. But I figure between making enemies deal less damage and gaining damage reduction from our belt, this seems to be the best way to go about it. I don't really need more movement speed. I don't really need them to be slowed by 100%. So none of these other runes really seem needed, so I just went with the max damage reduction. In terms of passives, I'm using Dark Reaping to help deal with essence costs, basically, because you kill pretty quickly using this build, so you're not going to have to worry too much about losing essence, especially when your corpse explosions get going, but I'll show you that in a minute. We're running Rigor Mortis so that our poison abilities also slow enemies by 30% and reduce their attack speed by 15% for 5 seconds. I'm running the standalone passive, which makes it so that you increase your armor by 100%, and then it's reduced by 10% for each active minion that you have. But since I don't have any minions in this build, I get that full 100% armor bonus. And then on the last one, I chose Swift Harvesting since it increases the attack of the generator, and I'm trying to make it so that this goes a little faster. As you can see, it's kind of slow as is, even with that additional attack speed. If you don't want to run this, though, you could probably get away with running Eternal Torment. So your scythe will be a little slower, but it would make it so that Decrepify only costs 5 essence, and then it'll literally last on your enemy forever. So I think we'll just keep Eternal Torment on there, and we'll run over to our cube. So, in the Kanai cube, we have Nair's Black Death. So each different poison skill you use increases the damage of your poison skills by 65% for 15 seconds. I'm running Death Diggers because I'm trying to milk a little bit of additional damage out of Grim Scythe. But if I were to not use this, I would probably go with something like honestly, maybe Leoric's Crown to give you some more cooldown reduction so that your bone armor can be used more often. Maybe you'll go with String of Ears to help mitigate some melee damage. Honestly, the armor skill right now is so open to whatever you feel like using. I'd honestly just say that use what honestly calls out to you. I think just for the sake of this video that I'm going to stick with the String of Ears. And then of course we're running Royal Ring of Granger in the cube. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want to show you guys some gameplay. But if you're tired of hearing me talk and you've basically heard what you came to hear, then I won't feel bad if you go ahead and leave now. I'll just say thank you for watching the video. You know, I hope you liked it. If you did, maybe subscribe, maybe like the video down below, leave a comment. You know, let me know what I'm doing wrong. Let me know what you'd like to see me do, maybe in future videos. But for the rest of you guys, we're going to go through and do some gameplay, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm using this build. So if you were wanting to use it maybe in the future, assuming there aren't too many changes to the Necromancer before its official release, this would be able to be something that you do. So we're going to run Torment 10. Like I said, I want to show you guys that it is at least Torment 10 capable. So basically how I do it, loading. Alright, so basically how you do it is first you want to, whoa. Okay, the first thing you want to do is not be hit by horrendous lag spikes that insta-kill you. But you're going to want to hit your bone armor and Decrepify before anything else. And then As soon as you have corpses on the ground, use corpse explosion. God, I do apologize. This isn't me being terrible. This is just I'm getting horrific lag from the server right now. I, pro I promise that I'm not this terrible. But it was working just fine earlier. So alright, bone armor, decrepify. Something I've noticed with the Johnstone in particular, which I can't show you because I just totally died and lost all my stacks. But a curious thing I've been noticing with the Johnstone's ability is that, alright, that one was my fault. I didn't put the fucking bone armor on. Alright, so, oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't understand what's happening right now. I don't know if it's just the lag is crippling my character, or... but I'm usually nowhere near this bad. I promise you the build works. It doesn't usually act this terrible. Alright, let's go and try this again, I guess. Alright, so decrepify, use your bone armor, hit them with corpse explosions. This would be so much better if I wasn't lagging all to hell. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot deal with this. This is absolutely horrendous. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'll upload a gameplay portion of this later. Maybe I'll go hardwire myself to my router and actually do it that way. But thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry I couldn't actually, put my money where my mouth was and prove this. Obviously, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties at the moment. But I promise you that this build does work, and I'll upload a gameplay video in the next couple of days to show you guys that. So thank you for watching. Thank you for continuing to support my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.